Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. But unfortunately for us, it is not a great and wonderful day. It's actually a terrible day, at least for Americans, because the government is really showing its teeth. And more of the reason why the Second Amendment was born and raised for this exact moment, because it was to prevent the government from wanting to assassinate or kill its own citizens. That's insanity. Well, there's a lot of proof to that. I'm going to be showing it to you all today. And to all the idiots, by the way, that were saying, your government won't turn on you. Your government won't attack you. Stupidity is your best friend, because this is exactly what the government is doing. And it's oddly placed that is right before the election. So I wonder what they're thinking. They think there's going to be a civil war that's going on. But I digress. We're going to get directly into it as well. Okay, so what we have here from the Patriot Voice saying, this is a red alert. The U.S. military is now officially authorized to kill American citizens on American soil. It says here, imagine waking up to discover that the U.S. military has quietly been granted the authority to assist in the domestic law enforcement activities, including the use of lethal force against U.S. citizens in certain circumstances. Now, consider that this change was enacted just weeks before an election, already surrounded by concerns about unrest, civil liberties, and potential government overreach. DOD Directive 5440, which was just reissued under the radar on September 27, 2024, the timing of that is not a coincidence. Remember, those Civil War conditions that Raskin was talking about, that means in a martial law scenario with FEMA mill in full control, the implications of this are absolutely horrifying. Yes, we're going to go over Raskin in a minute here. So, yeah, this is what's going on here, right? This is what we have, and whatnot. And we're going to go over a few things. So the big key things here that we have on the DOJ directive is specifically this, right? It's this. So I'll blow this all up for you guys to see. It says here, the big thing that we need to see here is that provision of personnel to support the response efforts for civil disturbances, which we may also require presidential authorization. And it also goes on to say here, assistance in responding with assets with potential for lethality, or any situation in which it is reasonably foreseeable that providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. It also includes all support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where a confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individuals or groups is reasonably anticipated, right? So, we're going to go to what we say here, right, with Raskin. So, we will do Raskin Civil War. Because, again, I think you guys need to know exactly what we're talking about here. Not Civil War, all right? Come on, let's go here. And this is what Raskin has to say about this, right?
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress, so it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring that.
Yeah, so essentially what Raskin is saying here is that this was back on August 5th, pretty much saying that, since the people and the Supreme Court, what have you, is not agreeing with our policies, not agreeing on the way we think, we're going to have to do and bring out Civil War conditions and, make go lo and behold. And it only happens exactly a month afterwards that this comes up in place, right? And then it says, Rampur warns that the U.S. military was just authorized to kill Americans on U.S. soil. I think it's very, very dangerous. Daniel McAdams, it's not a law, it's a DOD directive. So this is the administrative state where they take over, they don't pass laws. So this is what this is what Ron Paul has to say about this.
Zero hedge is a pretty hot headline. U.S. military now is authorized to kill Americans on U.S. soil. That can't be possible.
Yeah.
This would open up the door for the careless use, and if more frequent and legal. It'll be legal now, so nobody will have to worry about that. Send in the troops. We need you to shoot a couple of these people.
Yeah.
They're opposing our policies. They're demonstrating against COVID rules or something they'll come up with. So I think it's very, very dangerous.
So here it is. Now, Zero Hedge picked it up from Armageddon Pros, which is a Substack which they often run. It says, U.S. military now authorized to kill Americans on U.S. soil? Just ahead, intriguingly, of November elections, and that was my second thought, the military has granted itself permission to unleash lethal force on the civilian population. Again, I thought this has got to be an exaggeration, so I went and looked, and actually go to the next one, because this explains what it is. Now, it's not a law. It's a DOD directive. So this is, the administrative state where they take over. They don't pass laws. They are laws unto themselves. Go to the next one if you can, because this is what they're talking about. And I went on and I read this secondly.
So that was going on here, right? And I think that this is what we had to go over. Now, I'll be going over this right now. So, first off, it's just a directive. Well, the problem is with it just being a directive, just pretty much means that the Democrats, the president, will have to authorize it. And that's, it's really quite terrifying. This is not something that is okay, right? And we have this here. It says, DOD directive, the stealth expansion of military intelligence powers in life or death domestic scenarios. So, it says, we're going to just go over the 2016, the difference between the 2016 and the 2024 versions. So the 2016 version says that the 2016 version of the directive did not mention the use of lethal force. Instead, it focused on civil liberty protections, ensuring strict oversight for operations involving U.S. citizens, intelligence collection restrictions, limiting when and how U.S. persons' information USPI could be collected, privacy safeguards, protecting privacy rights, and preventing unauthorized data collection. The 2016 directive centered around intelligence gathering with no mention of lethal force. New provisions in the 2024 version. The 24 update introduces a dramatic shift, particularly regarding domestic operations, now explicitly permits lethal force in cases of imminent threats or national security emergencies, provided the action complies with legal oversight, specifically DODDD, which governs the use of deadly force by DOD personnel. Use of key updates include use of lethal force. The directive allows military intelligence components to assist law enforcement in operations that involve lethal force. Conditions for force. The directive specifies lethal force can be used under conditions involving imminent threats, and then legal oversight. Any use of the lethal force must comply with DODD, ensuring proper legal frameworks are followed. It also says, so again, framing the 2012 directive as a restriction, not an expansion. Although the directive expands the DOD's powers, some interpret it as more restrictive than it appears, and places tight limitations on when intelligence sharing can occur and requires approval from the Secretary of Defense before any action involving lethal force is taken. So again, this is a huge problem here. The fact of the matter is what we have here is that they are wanting to legally kill American citizens before the election, so that when a civil war does happen, they just bring up any case or reason, because they didn't really specify exactly the reasons why it would be to go and kill American citizens. This is insanity in every regard. I think that the Department of Homeland Security, everything that goes on here, needs to be abolished immediately. Immediately. This is the reason why you do not trust your government. This is the reason why you put hard restrictions on the government, because it is a massive problem. This is a huge, huge issue. And it was authorized by Kathleen H. Hicks, Deputy Secretary of Defense. This is insanity. What defense? There is no reason to go kill American citizens on U.S. soil. There is absolutely, positively none. And they're authorizing it. They're making it legal. This is insanity at every regard, and it needs to be pushed back immediately. Immediately. I think the Supreme Court, all the Republican politicians, everybody needs to go in force and strike this down. This is absurd. This is insanity in every regard. And I just cannot believe that this is a thing that's happening in our country. But this is what happens when you have communists in your country and socialists. You get these type of insane things and they don't care about the American people, and they're clearly quite showing it. Because they're terrified that if Donald Trump wins, that he'll win and kick them all out, which is exactly what should happen. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care, my friends.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted, because it's algorithmic disease, the social media.